In this video, we're going to talk about foundation. Some people don't need it, some people do, some people love to wear it, and some people don't. So we're going to go over some different tips and tricks for foundation. We're going to talk about different tools that you can use, the different looks that you can go for, and then the different and then choosing the right color. And then I'm going to show you the ways that I like to apply foundation. Super simple stuff. So let's talk about the tools first. A brush is one of the easiest ways to use it. This one needs to be clean, so don't look at it too closely. This is called a diffuser brush. This is going to give you a super light, foundation application. You can build with this one. You can grab more foundation and add it on top. And I'm going to show you exactly how I like to use this brush. Another way to use, another kind of brush to use is more of a a fluffier brush like this. It's the bristles kind of move very easily. So this is a great tool to use as well if you want more of a light application. Here is another kind of foundation brush that people like to use. This is a typical foundation brush. This one is actually going to give you a lot heavier of a look. Like you're going to have a lot heavier of a foundation, a lot more coverage with this kind of foundation brush. And then one of the most popular ones right now is using a sponge. So this one is damp. I wet this sponge in the sink. I squeezed out as much water as I can. You're going to want to use this damp because if you use it with it dry, it's going to put way too much foundation on your face, and it's going to be a lot harder to control your coverage. So let's talk about the look that you want to go for. If you love your skin, if it looks flawless and you really don't need a lot of coverage, you just want a little bit of help evening out, you're going to want to use something that's a little bit of a thinner, lighter application. So this might be a liquid foundation. It might be something like a BB or CC cream, more of a creamy foundation. You can still use a pot foundation like I'm going to show you today. But you might want to use like a face oil. You can actually squirt the face oil right on the foundation in the pot or right on your brush, or put that on your face first and then mix your foundation with that. And that's going to give you a really nice light foundation coverage look. And then if you want a little bit more coverage, if you want to really give your skin a flawless look, then you're going to want to go with a little bit more of a coverage foundation. That's going to be more of your pot foundations. So that's the kind I'm going to show you today, because with it you really can get a light coverage and a very built coverage. You're going to want to look for a foundation that has a lot of pigment in it. That means, really the main thing that means is that you're going to be using a lot less product to get the coverage that you need. If it has a lot of fillers in it, then it's really going to take a lot of foundation. I know you've seen those people that really look like they have a lot of foundation on. It probably is because they do, and they're having to use a lot of foundation to get the coverage that they need. So you want to pick a product that has a lot of pigment in it, so you can use very little to get the coverage that you want. Okay, so let's talk about picking your color. This is one of the biggest mistakes that people make, is picking the wrong foundation color. So I'm going to show you some tips and tricks on how to do that. One of the first things is, in the summer, I typically will wear like lower cut things. So I really want to match my chest. So you can literally take some foundation. I'm going to show you one that's kind of the wrong color. See, that's kind of the wrong color to match my chest right now. So that would not be a good color for me. I'm going to want to match all right here to make everything look the same. If you wear things that are more scoop neck, then you might want to just focus on on matching your neck. Now, this area right here is one area of your neck that gets the least amount of sun. It's protected by your chin and your jawbone, so it's going to be a lot lighter. That's when a lot of people, you see that line get on their cheek. It's because they've picked a foundation that doesn't really match this, which is okay. You can choose. Like, you might decide, hey, I want to match this, but that's going to mean your foundation might be a little bit lighter than the rest of your skin. That's kind of what I'm doing right now, is using one that matches this area of my neck, so I don't get that line. But I'm using a little bit of bronzer to kind of color that in and make it look as dark as the rest of my body. So also something with choosing your color, you want to look at your skin tone and try to decide whether you have more pink undertones, more yellow golden undertones, Or you might be a neutral. If you look at yourself and it's really hard for you to tell if you are one way or the other, then you're probably a neutral. You're probably one of those people that can wear silver and gold jewelry, and it works good for you. That's one way that I like to kind of look at it. I have more yellow, golden undertones in my face, but you can see when I start to get sun on my skin, I take more of a pink undertone. So I actually swap foundation families. In the summer, I swapped to one that has a little bit more of a pink undertone. So that's one of the biggest ways to decide if you're doing the right color. Never color match on the back of your hand. A lot of people do that. Never do that because it's most likely not going to match your face. If you want to do, you can do color swatches across your cheekbone, your jawbone, to try to make everything just kind of blend in. And then a lot of people with deeper skin tones, they are actually two foundation colors. Some of those with those deep, beautiful skin tones will be a lighter foundation in the middle and then a darker towards the outside. So that might be something you want to think about, is getting two different foundation colors, one just a little bit darker than the other one to frame your face with. So now I'm going to show you some ways to apply. So I'm going to show you using some pot foundations today. So with the diffuser brush, this is what you would do. You would set it down here. I'm going to use this one. No, I'll use this color. I'll just kind of swap around. So you just literally set your brush right on top of there, give it a twirl, and then you make circles on your face like this. Super simple. So all you do is you keep doing that. You keep building. Like if I wanted to do a little bit more of a coverage, I could keep building. I can kind of stipple that on if I want to in those areas that might need a little bit more coverage. Okay. So here, I'm going to show you with this brush, really kind of the same thing, except you're just going to kind of swirl that like that. And then this is a brush I like to use. Like if I just want a little bit of coverage right here on my cheek, where I have a little bit of like old acne scarring. If I want to just get a little bit of coverage right there, this is a great brush to use just if you need just a little bit in a few places like that. Super simple, right? Okay, the sponge. This one sometimes scares people, but don't let it scare you. So you set the flat side in your foundation, do a quarter of a turn, and just grab a little bit. All it takes is a little bit when you have one that has lots of pigment in it. And you can see I'm just kind of stamping that on, moving that foundation around to get the coverage that you need with it. Now this one, I showed you this brush. This is a typical foundation brush. So you can use this one if you really want. Like I have redness right here, so I could use that one if I really need to get in small places. I personally feel like this one is a very heavy application. If you have a lot of acne that you need to cover up, this is a great one to use there because you can really take that and kind of work those and build up a little bit right there in those areas that you might have acne. So that's a fantastic thing to think about. If you're using a liquid foundation and you don't have a pot like this, you can squirt the liquid foundation right on the back of your hand and do the same thing. Or you could squirt it right on the brush if you're using a bigger brush like this. Or you could take it and even with this one, I can take a little bit of this and I can dab it on the flat parts of my faces like this, and I could go back in with a brush, swirl that in. Or I could go in with my sponge and really move that around all over my face to get the coverage that you need. So I hope that helps you with picking out your foundation, picking out what kind of tools. Try different kinds of tools. Different makeup looks, you might want to go with something more like a brush if you want something really light. Or you can try different ways with the sponge. Sometimes you can get a super light, natural looking application because this kind of mimics your pores and your skin cells on your face. So when you pat that on, that'll give you a super natural look. But just build on your foundation if you need to. If you need help with picking out your perfect color, please let me know. It's something I love to do. I've been doing this for many years, and I'm getting pretty darn good at it. So if you need help picking out a foundation color, please don't hesitate to reach out to me because I love to do that. One thing you want to make sure if you try foundation, this foundation in particular does not oxidize, and that's a different word that I haven't shared yet. So oxidizing, if you've ever put on a foundation that you've purchased before, and then you go outside, you hang out, you go do whatever, and then a few hours later you pop in your car, you look at yourself in the rearview mirror, and it looks like you have this orange line right here across your jawline. That means your foundation has oxidized. When it is out in the air, in the oxygen, for a certain amount of time, it can actually change colors. So you want to make sure that you find a foundation that does not oxidize, because you do not want this changing colors. I know this has happened to me, and it's probably happened to you, where you find a foundation color that looks perfect in the store, but then you purchase it, you walk outside, and later you go, oh my gosh, this really isn't my color. And it's because it's oxidized. So make sure you find one that does not do that. So reach out to me with any questions that you may have about this. Foundation is one of the biggest, most commonly used products, and it's one of the things that people have the most trouble with. So I am here to help you. So I hope this helped you a lot.